what have you understood from our first principle? Basim, can you hear me? Basim, can you hear me?
Sir, sir,
Okay, then please explain
yes, sir.
what you mean. Yeah.
Sir, it is dividing the areas into small triangles.
Okay, if we are surveying an area, we are dividing it into small triangles. What if we are surveying a line or a road or a length?
Length.
Same thing. We'll divide the length into small parts. So first, what we'll do is like
Yes,
we'll
sir.
first survey the start and end point of that particular line. Then we will come towards the center by dividing it into two, and again subdividing it into several parts. So that's known as this principle is known as
Yes, sir.
work from wall to part. So what's the next principle, Vasim?
Yes, sir. Sir, it is uh, reference points, fixed reference points
So
by
what if you
locating
need to locate a new point somewhere?
2 points.
Okay.
Lead
What if
by
you need to
forward, sir.
locate a new point? How many
Yes,
number of
sir.
minimum dimensions you take? Have you ever do you play football? Basim, do you play any kind of sport?
Yes, sir.
Which games do you play?
Football, sir.
Okay. So what if someone asks you to mark the penalty box, the corners of the penalty box? So what
Yes, sir.
from where will you make the measurement?
From
Okay.
the
So
goalpost.
in order to mark that corner points of that maybe that penalty box, the edges or the corners of the penalty box,
Yes, sir.
what all measurements you need from the
Hmm.
goalpost? How can you locate that particular point from the
From
goalpost? You need two dimensions, right?
same length
You need two
from
measurements.
two posts.
Same length from two posts.
Yes, sir.
Same. Not. I'm asking about the corner
Yes,
points of that penalty box. Understood? What
yes,
when you
sir.
mean by the corner points? Did you understand what's meant by that corner points?
Okay.
Okay. Or even
Yes,
let it be the corner point of the field of that football ground.
yes, sir.
Okay. So how to locate the corner point of that ball ground? Uh, uh, Forget about penalty box. How to locate the corner point with respect to the
Uh,
goal post? What are measurements we need?
okay. Uh, length.
Length. Okay, that's the first measurement. What's the second measurement you need?
Sir.
Shouldn't it be at 90 degree or 180-degree
Then
from the goal post?
breadth.
Are you sure? Okay, so that's the next
Yes,
second
sir.
measurement. So
Yes, sir.
you cannot properly mark the corner points with just one measurement. If you're just talking about length alone, you can't
Uh,
mark that corner point with that length alone. You need an angle too, right? So that's the second
yes,
principle.
sir. Yes, sir.
Whenever if you want to mark any point with respect to something, we need at least two measurements. It can be
Mm,
two lengths, it
mm,
can be one length or one angle,
mm,
it can be two angle, or even
mm.
one angle and one length.
Three.
Okay, understood. So there should be at least two measurements.
One second.
So
Yes, sir.
if our number of measurements increases, the accuracy of that point will increase. But the minimum number of measurements to be taken is two. So that's the second measurement. So in our example of what we have discussed now, if you want to mark the corner of a football ground, corner points of football ground with respect to the goal post,
Yes,
we'll have to measure a distance from the goal post and also we have to take a 180-degree angle from the goalpost. So there is no point if we are taking a simply measurement alone, we won't be able to locate that point exactly. So this is the second principle. Understood, Basim?
Yes, sir.
So we have just discussed about the principle of survey. This is very important topic. You can expect questions um, in your exam and also in your real life. It will be useful for you. So next thing we'll start with in our second module. You can see what are the contents of second module as we discussed in the last class. We have finished with the survey. We just had a quick look at the important objectives and principles of survey. And that might be enough for your examination point of view. And next thing we are going to discuss in our second module is about the construction materials. So what are the construction materials that we are using for construction? So let us move on to that. And first construction material that I'm going to discuss is brick. You might know what is meant by brick. So do you know for what type of brick Iriti is famous for? Is anyone from Iriti? Iriti or any nearby areas? Is anyone from Iriti or any nearby areas? Please respond to my question. Is there anyone from Iriti side? No one. That's suspicious. Okay, I'm leaving it. So let me discuss about brick. So bricks are prepared by molding clay in rectangular blocks of uniform size and then drying and burning these blocks. So you might. Okay, Chandana, I think you've responded to my question. So what kind of brick is Iriti famous for? Okay, Chandana, please find that. Anyone in your area might know about that. So just find for what construction material is Iriti famous for. So we are discussing about the brick. So you might know how brick is being prepared. So bricks are prepared by molding clay. So we'll take clay from their surface and then we will mold it. Mold means we'll have a mold for that, and we will place our clay in that mold, and all those mold will be of uniform size, and we will then dry it, and then finally we'll burn these blocks in order to attain that proper strength. So this is actually the oldest building block which has replaced stone. Earlier, like centuries ago, we used stone as our main construction material. So once the advantages of brick, people have understood the advantages of brick, the construction practice changed to masonry construction or brick wall construction. So this is actually the oldest building block which first replaced stone. So why it is having a lot of advantage that it is of lighter weight. That means handling a brick is much easier than we handle stone, because stone will be heavy for us to handle. But if you are handling a brick, it will be easy for us. And also the thing is, like, if you are molding these bricks, all these bricks will be of uniform size. So we'll have a proper estimation. We can estimate the number of bricks that is required for a construction activity. So brick has replaced stone for the construction. And thing we are focusing here is actually on the basis of classification of bricks. So you might have seen different kinds of bricks that are available in the market. So there are good quality bricks and there are poor quality bricks. So based on our code, we will be dividing our bricks into different class. So first we will discuss about the first class bricks. So what are first class bricks? The first class will have a standard size and shape. That means all the bricks will be of a uniform shape. They will be of the same shape. They will have the same size, and they will be burnt in kiln. So kiln, you might know what's meant by kiln. So you have might don't know how to explain it. So it's actually have you seen burning bricks in some paddy fields? This is actually a kin. What's meant by kin? What they will do is like they will arrange the bricks in such a manner that they can fire it from the bottom of the arrangement, and they will keep it for like several days or hours. And slowly, what happens is like all the bricks will get burnt, and it will attain its required strength. So in first class brick, all this burning process and this molding process will be strictly monitored, and it will be according to the specifications, and all the bricks will be of uniform shape and of the uniform texture, color, everything will be almost uniform. So this is known as first class bricks. So next is like it will fulfill all the desired properties of bricks. So there are some properties for bricks. That means the water absorption of brick will be within a limit, and also the soundness. That means the how brick react to some scratching, or how what is the durability of the brick. So all there are some properties that are predefined, and this first class brick will fully adhere to these properties. So this first class brick will be used for superior works of permanent nature. That means we are constructing a building which is of high importance, and if we need a superior quality construction, we will recommend first class bricks. But obviously, you know, this first class bricks will be much costlier than these lower class bricks. So we'll just see again what is meant by first class bricks. So they will have a standard shape and size. They'll be burnt in kiln properly, and they will fulfill all desired properties of bricks, and it is used for superior works of permanent nature. So I'll show you the figure of a kiln. So let me stop proceeding so that I can search and show you what is meant by a kiln. So I think you see started to see the presentation again, and you can see the images of a kiln. So this is actually a kiln where we will arrange all these bricks, molded bricks in a specific shape, and then we will give fire from the bottom. If focus here, you can see on the right side, this is actually a kiln. So in our first class bricks, it will be properly burned. You can see a lot of images of kiln on the other side. So it will be properly burnt, and the molding will also be done. So the molding is known as table molding. That means it will be strictly monitored. All the molds will be of uniform shape. Everything will be monitored, and the clay, the quality of clay will be used will be also of high quality. That means it will not contain any organic matter or organic substances. So they will mix it. The clay will be mixed with water, and they will be placed in the mold, and it will be table molded. That means a strict supervision will be done during the molding process. And once it is molded, and once it is set, we will take it to the kiln, and we will burn it in the kiln, so that it will acquire the required strength. So this is known as first class bricks. And let us see how second class bricks is different from first class. So you can see the images of first class bricks. This is actually their first class brick. It will be of uniform shape. You can see how uniform they are, and how the texture is also uniform for each the kind of brick, and even the color is also somewhat the color is also somewhat same for all the bricks. And in the second class bricks, you can see how it is different from this first view itself. You will understand how a second class brick is different from the first class. So this is actually ground molded and burnt in kilns. Earlier it was table molded. That means it will be molded in factories under strict supervision, and each brick will be given attention. But when it comes to ground molding, they not have that kind of supervision that a first class brick had, but it will be okay for normal use. So the ground molded bricks will also be burnt in flames, but the burning process will not be that professional, and there might be some like edges might not be sharp and uniform, and it's okay. So you can see how the edges of the first class bricks are uniform and they are sharp, but for second class bricks the edges may not be uniform. So this second class bricks, obviously it will be much cheaper than the first class bricks, and these bricks will be used for construction of walls where plastering will be done earlier. That means we will apply a cement mortar paste, a cement mortar on brick wall, so that the ugliness of second class brick won't be exposed. Uh, so it won't be exposed, and also you can see the properties like water absorption will also be lesser. Like the water absorption will be more for a second class brick. That means all these properties will be of low quality than when we compare it to first class bricks. So it is necessary for us to plaster it and protect it from weather forces like wind, rain, etc., or even frost or direct sunlight. So it is necessary for us to protect it from all these natural forces. So that's why we are providing plastering on the walls which are constructed using second class bricks. But if we see the first class bricks, you can see how uniform the walls are. So we can confidently project these walls so that no one, everyone can get an aesthetic view of the appearance. But if we can't project our walls constructed using second class brick, mainly because in future it can absorb a lot of moisture from the atmosphere, and also it may not be of uniform shape, and it will be ugly to show this walls constructed using second class bricks. Hence they will be covered with plastering. And also you need to understand that the cost of second class bricks will be much less than that of first class bricks. And next there are third class bricks and fourth class bricks, which will be of even low quality than second class bricks. I can see how third class bricks are prepared. Okay, Austin has responded to our question that I've asked 10 minutes ago. Yes, Austin, you are correct. Actually, the area is famous for laterite. That means you might see better. In Malayalam, we call it.
Sir, it was answered. It was answered by Alan Joseph.
Yeah, whoever, I don't know, like whoever answered it. So it is famous for vertically because it's of high quality, and quality means it will has the capacity to take huge loads, and you can see a lot of trucks carrying laterite bricks from Iriti side. So that's the answer. Laterite bricks, that means vertical. I think if we're not familiar with laterite brick, let me show it with you. So I'm showing this figure to all those people who haven't understood what I have asked. It's actually the laterite brick. This is quite different from that what we are discussing now. Right now we are discussing about molded bricks, which we use in which we use clay to mold into our required shape. But when we are talking about laterite, you can see This is actually a laterite soil. We will cut this laterite soil using special machinery in a required shape. So this has actually a great capacity to carry loads. So this type of laterite bricks are used when we want to construct a load-bearing walls that we have discussed in our first module. So it's a load-bearing walls. The laterite bricks has the capacity to take large loads. So this is mainly used for that. And it's a non-load bearing walls. We can use low quality bricks for wall construction. So you can see this is actually the thing what I'm talking about, laterite brick. But currently we are discussing about bricks which we mold from clay. And this is actually the widest material which we use for construction. And this laterite type of construction or the stone what we get from a natural directly by cutting. You can see on the right side we will cut all these soil with special machinery, and we'll get directly the brick. No molding is required for this kind of brick. We can get it directly from the source. So I don't know whether we can see this kind of stones used for construction outside southern India. Most of the construction are from even from northern Kerala. Even in southern Kerala, this construction using this bricks is very less. But it is actually very good construction material, and this is what it is famous for. And but now we are discussing about bricks which are being prepared from clay. We'll mold clay in factories or even or brick yards using a special molds, and then we will burn it to acquire our required strength. So you can see we have discussed about first class, second class, and second class bricks, and next we'll move on to third class bricks. So you can understand what are the properties that will be different from that of first class and second class. So it will also be a ground molded bricks, but they will be burnt in clamps. So we won't provide a proper arrangement as we have seen it for first class and second class. We will use pins for burning first class and second class bricks, but we will use clamps for burning third class bricks. So it is not hard as we expect from first class and second class. It is not hard. It is not capable of taking large loads, and it will have a rough surface and distorted edges. So the construction with third class bricks will not be aesthetically appealing. So and hence it is used for unimportant and temporary structures. So if you want to construct a temporary building, and if you want to demolish it after a few years of use, maybe we have 1 or 2 years of use, we will not use first class brick for such kind of construction. We use the third class kind of bricks for such kind of construction. So hence it is used for unimportant and temporary structures. And the fourth class bricks are those bricks which are overburnt with regular shape and dark color. So what happens if we are not properly supervising the burning or molding procedures? What happens is like the expected results won't come out. At many times, what happens is like the bricks might get overburnt, and in that kind of situation, what happens is the regular shape of a brick will get distorted, and it will attain a dark color. So such kind of bricks are classified as fourth class bricks, and we won't use it for any kind of construction because it won't have even the proper shape. So it will be difficult for us to use in wall construction, and hence what we will do is like we'll break them apart, and we'll use it as an aggregate for concrete in foundation and some flooring purposes, where the properties of a brick is not actually required. So we'll times where there will be requirement for us to use it in concrete while we are doing concrete in foundation or a floor. So we'll break all these fourth class brick into small parts, and then we will add it into concrete. So this is actually the 4 class bricks. There are 4 different classes of bricks that we have discussed. First class bricks, second class brick, third class, and fourth class. So you can see the images of all these bricks. This is actually the first class bricks. As we have discussed about, you can see how the color is so uniform for that brick, and how the edges are sharp, and even the corners are not distorted. It has a proper and regular shape. When we discuss about second class bricks, it may not have that aesthetic appearance as that we have seen in first class bricks, and also the strength of the second class bricks will be lower than that of first class bricks, but still it is being used for wall construction, and it might not be that aesthetically appealing, so hence we will plaster it so that it won't take moisture, it won't absorb moisture from the atmosphere, and it won't destroy our wall. So hence, if we are using second class bricks, it is actually necessary for us to provide plastering. And in first class bricks, we can expose it directly to the atmosphere, because it has the property of the moisture absorption or the water absorption property of first class brick will be very low, and that absorption of water won't affect our strength of the wall as a whole. So first class bricks, we won't be using any plastering, but second class bricks, it becomes necessary if you want to give a proper aesthetic appearance, and also if you want to have a durable construction, we'll provide plastering. And in third class bricks, you can see how the edges are distorted, how there are different colors are coming in, even in a single brick. The texture is not uniform, and I can see how it is different from first class and second class bricks. And in the fourth class brick, we can't expect any strength from fourth class bricks, because it is actually overburnt. It may not have the proper shape, so we can't use this fourth class bricks for construction. Hence, what we do is like we will break this brick into small pieces, and we will add it in concrete. Chandana, am I not audible? Am I not audible? Okay, I think Chandana, please check your speakers. I think might not. It's okay. Many students are responding that I'm audible. So Chandana, could you please check your mic or speakers? So you can see from the screen how all these brick classes of bricks are different from each other. So we have just discussed about the different classes of bricks, and then next we will see what are the properties of good bricks. So first property of good brick is it should have a uniform color. It should have a uniform and bright color. You can see that brick that's given in the lower right side of our screen, where the dimensions are also marked. So the length of brick, a standard brick, is actually 190 millimeters. The height of the brick is 90 millimeters, and the width of that brick is also 90 millimeters. So why we are not giving it as 200 by 10 by 10, 200 by 100 by 100? Because we are giving a space for mortar filling. Mortar filling means the cement sand paste that we are providing in between the bricks. So we are actually providing for that. We are trying to accommodate that cement mortar paste also in between the bricks. And hence, if you want to calculate the number of bricks in a given wall, it will be easier for us to calculate it if we are accommodating the space for cement and mortar also. So that's why the standard brick is also always has the dimension of 190 by 90 by 90 instead of 200 by 100 by 100. So this is actually a standard brick which has a uniform color and also has a bright color. And the shape of the bricks should have plain faces. The faces of the brick should be plain. It should not have any distortion. They should have sharp and true right angle corners, as we can see in the figure. And the size of the brick should be a standard size as prescribed by the codes. So the codes of different countries have different specifications, and in the code that we use or what we refer, the size of the brick, the standard size of the brick is mentioned as 190 by 90 by 90. So we will be providing 10 mm on either side for to accommodate cements and mortar that we use to join bricks with each other. So this should be the standard size of a brick, and this texture they should possess fine, dense, and uniform texture. They should not possess fissures, cavities, loose grit, and unburnt line. So you can see it should not have any fissures. That means it should not have any cracks. It should not have any cavities where it is where that area is not filled by clay. It should not be loose grit, means small particles of clay should not come out. So it should not have a loose grip, and any unburnt line should not be there. So actually lime is the thing that gives the strength and bond for the brick. So all the lime present in the brick, inside the brick, should be burned properly so that it will become a paste, and it will provide sufficient holding strength for all the materials in the brick. So these are the properties of good brick: the color, shape, size, and texture. So I hope you can understand from the figure itself how we can classify a brick as a good quality brick or a low quality brick. So as per our classification, there are 4 different kinds of bricks: first class, second class, third class, and fourth class. Sort of that, usually we recommend first class and second class for construction, and third class for temporary construction. And the fourth class is actually we won't recommend it for any construction purposes, but we can break that brick, and we can use it for pavement, flooring, etc. And the next property that we have discussed is soundness. So actually soundness is actually when we strike a hammer or with another brick, it should produce a metallic sound. So you can see, if you take 2 bricks and if we strike them with each other, it should produce a metallic sound. That's on a soundness. If it produces a metallic sound, then we can classify it as a good quality brick. Why? Because it will be firm enough, and it assures us that there are no cavities inside that brick. So that property is known as soundness. And next property is hardness. So if we scratch the surface of the brick with our fingernails, it should not produce an impression on the brick. So if you start scratching on the surface of the brick and it produces an impression, then that brick is not of good quality. So this is property. And the strength, it should have the sufficient strength to carry all the loads if we are using it for any load bearing walls. So the crushing strength of brick should not be less than 3.5 Newton per mm square. So this Newton per mm square is also known as megapascal. And the strength should not be less than 3.5 Newton per millimeter square. So we'll actually deploy a field test for strength. Is that when we drop from a height of 0.9 to 1 mm, 10 meter on hard ground, 1 meter on hard ground, the brick should not break into pieces. So the strength is actually measured in field. So if you are going to inspect the bricks that are being ready for use of construction, if you want to check the strength, so that we have a field test. That means we'll take that brick, we'll take a random brick, and then we will drop that brick from a height of 0.9 meter to 1 meter. It's not 1 millimeter, it's actually 1 meter onto a hard ground. And if that brick breaks into pieces, then we won't recommend that brick for construction. So we will take a sample from a load, and then we will do the field test. So quantitatively, the strength of brick should not be less than 3.5 Newton per mm square. So this is actually the value that is given required. And you can see I was talking about water absorption earlier. So in order to test water absorption means it can absorb the moisture from the atmosphere. So if you want to test water absorption, what we do is like we will immerse the brick in water for 24 hours, and the water absorption should not be more than 20% by weight. That means if the weight of a single brick is actually 1 kilogram, and if we immerse that brick in water for 24 hours and then we take it out after 24 hours, and then if we measure the weight again, the weight of the brick should not go beyond 1.2 kilogram. That means the percentage weight of water absorption should not be more than 20%. And for first class brick, the limit is 15%. So if you want to classify a brick as first class and second class, what we do is like we will take a sample from the group of bricks and we will immerse it in water for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, we'll take it and we'll measure it. And suppose the earlier weight, the dry weight of the brick is 1 kilogram. And we take that out and measure. If it is below 1.15 kilogram, what we can assure that? We can assure that it is of first class quality. These are the properties that we are discussing. And I hope you can understand. We have finished with color, shape, size, texture, soundness, hardness, strength, water absorption, and efflorescence. So when what happens when we take out from water, as we have done for water absorption? Neither it should weigh more than 20% that weight earlier, that it weighed earlier, and also it should not have any white patches on its surface when we allow it to dry after weighing. So brick should not show white patches when soaked in water for 24 hours and then it allowed to dry in shade. White patches are due to the presence of sulfate of calcium and magnesium and potassium. So they keep the masonry permanently in damp and wet conditions. Why? Because they keep on absorb moisture from the atmosphere. So these white patches should not be present in a brick when we immerse it in water for 24 hours and when we take it out and dry it in shade. This is actually the property what is meant by efflorescence. And next property is thermal conductivity. Bricks should have low thermal conductivity so that buildings built with them are cool in summer and warm in winter. So why we prefer earthen bricks instead of concrete bricks is because of its lower thermal conductivity. It won't allow much heat to enter inside a building constructed using brick walls, and also it will be much comfortable for us to live inside that building, even if it's summer or winter. So it should have lower thermal conductivity so that buildings built with them are cool in summer and warm in winter. That's also a property of a good quality brick. And the sound insulation. Heavier bricks are poor insulator sound, while lightweight and hollow bricks provide good and sound insulation. Why? Because, do you know any idea? Can anyone say why heavier bricks are poor insulators of sound, while lightweight and hollow bricks provide good sound insulation? Have you heard about this lightweight and hollow bricks? The hollow bricks means the inside will be hollow. It will be constructed like that, but it will have sufficient strength. I'm not talking about cavities, but I'm talking about hollow bricks. It will be designed like that and it will be molded like that. Can anyone say? Yeah, interlock is not kind of that. Interlock is actually not exactly that thing. Interlock is having some. It's not necessary for us to use the cement and mortar in between these interlock bricks. You can. There are some.
So
Okay.
greater the mass, the more vibration will it transmit.
Because
in heavier brick.
the sound waves are basically longitudinal waves and it will travel much faster in heavy density environment, right? Isn't that so? Austin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's why heavier bricks are poor insulators of sound, while lightweight and hollow bricks provide good sound insulation. So if you want to construct a building where we want a sufficient sound insulation, when we don't want to hear the noise from the outside, and also we don't want to transmit the happenings or the sound happenings to the outside environment, we can use hollow bricks. Hollow bricks means the inside of that brick will be hollow. So if you haven't understood what's meant by hollow bricks, I can show you. You can see this kind of brick is known as hollow bricks. So you can see these are all made of concrete, and what right now we are talking about bricks made from clay. This kind of bricks. So this kind of bricks is known as hollow bricks. So it will be designed like that, and it will have the sufficient strength as a solid brick, but it will have some good properties like sound insulation, because this hollow area will have lower density, and the sound will not be able to pass through that very easily. So here we can see both hollow bricks made from both concrete and also from clay. So right now we are talking about bricks made from clay. You can see different kind of hollow bricks. So if you want to construct a theater where we don't want the sound from inside to go outside, the other day I was talking about sound in acoustics. Do you know what's meant by acoustics? Acoustics means so acoustics means sorry. So acoustics means the property and the science that help us to design an interior or a place to enhance the sound experience. So if you want to construct a theater, a cinema theater, or a cinema hall, and we don't want other outside noise to come inside, and also the sound from one theater, especially in multiplex where the cinema halls are placed very close to each other. We don't want the sound from one theater to go to other theater. We'll use this kind of construction where it will insulate the sound. So this kind of sound insulation is also considered as good quality bricks. So not necessarily in cinema halls, even in our homes, but if you want a freedom or a privacy from outside noise, we can use sound insulated bricks. Next is fire resistance. Fire resistance of bricks is usually good. In fact, fires are used to encase steel columns to protect them from. Bricks are used to encase steel columns to protect them from fire. So earlier I was discussing, I think a few classes before, I told you that it is much safer to be inside a reinforced concrete building than a steel building in case of fire, because steel will start to melt at about 1000 degrees Celsius, and it won't be safe for us to be inside such kind of building, even if we are fire is happening on top story and we are in the ground floor. Even though that's happening, it is not safe for us to stay inside that kind of building, because the steel is not that fire resistant. But in that case, if you want to improve the fire fighting capacity of the building, what we do is, like for the columns and beams, once the fire attacks these columns and beams, their strength will get reduced and it will lead to the collapse of the building. Understood? So even for a very low temperature, like maybe 300 degrees Celsius, the properties of steel will start to change and the strength will start reducing, and it will lead to the collapse of the building. So in order to avoid some kind of things, what we do is, like, we will encase. That means we will build a small case of bricks around the steel columns and steel beams, so that in case of fire, our bricks will provide fire resistance to other columns, to steel columns inside, and it can enhance the firefighting capacity and also the fire safety. So this kind of bricks is also we expect good quality bricks to have this firefighting or the fire resistance capacity. So these are the things These are the properties that we were discussing. 1 minute. So the properties of good bricks are color, shape, size, texture, soundness, hardness, strength, water absorption, efflorescence, thermal conductivity, sound insulation, and fire resistance. So for a good quality brick, we will specify a minimum standard for all these 12 properties. So as said earlier, for fire resistance, we'll differentiate this kind of bricks on basis of its firefighting capacity. It might be like 5 hours for some kind of bricks, maybe 2 hours for other kind of bricks. Then it can resist fire up to 2 hours. And if it is for 30 minutes, something like that. So we'll differentiate all these things on the basis of its properties. There are 12 properties that are given. This is also an important part in your syllabus. The properties of good quality bricks. You can expect questions from it. I think it is much simple, much easier for everyone to understand. If anyone has any doubt, you may ask me before we move on to our next topic. Does anyone have any doubt? Akub? Is Akub in class?
Yes, sir.
Akub? Okay, Akub, are you able to follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, Akib, have you understood what are the properties that is required for a good quality brick?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will move on to our next topic. That's about the tests that need to be conducted on bricks in order to assess its properties. So earlier we were talking about the strength of the brick should be 3.5 Newton per mm square, all those things. So there are some tests that will be conducted in order to find out the properties, or to quantitatively find out the values of these properties. So first thing is crushing strength. So crushing strength means basically the idea is like we crush that brick using a machine. Yeah, using a machine, and we will find out at what strength the crushing happens, or the brick start to break apart. That's known as crushing strength. So the crushing strength of a brick can be found out with the help of a crushing testing machine. So brick will be fixed onto the crushing testing machine, and it will be the force will be applied on it till it breaks. And the minimum crushing or compressive strength. This is also known as compressive strength. So the same test we will conduct for concrete in order to assess the crushing strength of concrete. And for concrete, the value will be very high. You can expect a value of more than 20 for M20. There are different categories of concrete that we will discuss when we come to concrete topic. So right now we are discussing on bricks. So the minimum crushing or compressive strength of brick should be 3.5 Newton per mm square. So, and if it is between 7 to 14 Newton per mm square, you can classify it as grade A. And the crushing strength is more than 14 Newton per mm square, we can classify it as grade AA. So for construction, load bearing walls, where the walls are required to take loads instead of columns and pillars, in that case it is necessary for us to use bricks of high crushing strength, because these bricks are supposed to take loads from the above. So if the crushing strength is between 7 and 14, it will be classified as grade A bricks, and if it is more than 14 Newton per mm square, it is classified as grade AA bricks. So I hope you have understood what's meant by Newton per mm square. So for a 1 millimeter square area, the maximum weight or load it can take will be 14 Newton for 1 millimeter square area on the surface of the brick. It's known as Newton per mm square. And next property we're going to discuss is about the water absorption test. And earlier we have said that for a first class brick, the maximum water absorption after 24 hours of immersing in water should be more than 15% by weight of the total brick. And for other classes of bricks, whatever the class may be, it should not be more than 20% of the weight of the brick. That means it should not absorb more than 20% of water by its weight. Earlier I've said if the weight of a single brick is 1 kilogram in dry condition, and if we immerse it in water for 24 hours, and then if we take that out and then we send it for testing, the weight should not be more than 1,200 grams. If it is 1,000 grams before testing, it should not be more than 1,200 grams after 24 hours. For any class of bricks, and for first class brick, we will specify that as 1,150 grams. That means the increase in weight should not be more than 15%. So the brick is dried and weighed. It is then immersed in water. That means the brick, we will dry it, and then we'll take the weight. It will be immersed in water for 24 hours, and then it will be weighed again, and the difference in weight indicates the amount of water absorbed by the brick. So it should not be in any case exceed 20% of the brick, 20% of the weight of the dry brick for first class. For first class, it should not be more than 15%, and in any case, it should not be more than 20%. So this is actually the water absorption test that we employ in order to find out the percentage water absorption of bricks. So first we will take a brick and we will dry the surface, and we will keep it in a dry condition, maybe a few hours on proper sunlight. It will get dried, and then we will immerse it in water for 24 hours. We will weigh that brick again, and we will take the difference in the weight, and the difference in weight should not be more than 20% for any class of bricks, and specifically 15% for first class bricks. So this is the water absorption test. And the shape and size, we have already discussed it. Brick should be rectangular with sharp edges. So what we do is, like, we'll select 20 bricks randomly, and we will arrange it lengthwise, widthwise, and height-wise. For good quality bricks, the result should be within the following permissible limit, and the length of that 20 number of bricks should be 3,000 between 3,680 mm to 3,920 mm. So we will keep that. I will arrange all the bricks lengthwise. Condition will take the total length. That means even though if it is manufactured under strict supervision, there might be some cases that it won't reach the standard length or standard dimension. It might be either more or it can be either less, either more or less than the size of a standard brick. So in order to measure the length, we will take 20 bricks randomly from a load of bricks, or from a range of bricks. We will take 20 bricks and we will arrange it longitudinally. That means we'll arrange it in lengthwise, and we'll measure the total length. And total length of 20 bricks should be between 3,680 mm and 3,920 mm. And the width, similarly, we will arrange it in along widthwise, and we will take the measurement of total width of 20 bricks, and the width should be between 1,740 mm and 1,860 mm. And we will keep it in one brick above the other to measure the height of all the bricks, and the total height should be between 1,740 mm and 1,860 mm. So this is actually the test that we conduct in order to assess the shape and size of bricks that are being ready for construction. So we have gone through 3 different tests. First is the crushing strength, second is the water absorption test, and third is the size and shape test. Then we will we need to find out the fluorescence test too. To find the presence of soluble salts, the bricks will be immersed in water for 24 hours, and then it will be allowed to dry in shade. So the absence of gray or white deposits on the surface indicates the absence of soluble salts. What happens if there are soluble salts is means it will keep on absorbing water from the atmosphere, and our walls, if we are constructing a walls with that kind of brick, it will be always damp because it will be absorbing moisture continuously. So we will categorize these bricks into several categories. If it is affected slightly with the fluorescence, the 10% area is covered with white deposit, we will say that it is slightly contains soluble salt. And if it is between the area with white patches is more than 10 to is between 10 to 50% of the total area, we will categorize that moderately soluble salts are present in the brick. And if the fluorescence or the patches, white patches covers more than 50% of the area, we'll categorize that as a heavily soluble salts concentration is present in the brick. So this is a test used for efflorescence. That means we will check the white patches. We'll immerse it in water for 24 hours, and then we will check whether there are white patches on the surface of the brick. So this is the fourth test. And next is hardness. So hardness, what we'll do is like we'll make a scratch on brick with the help of a nail, not our fingernail. In some cases, we can even use fingernail, but what we'll do is like we'll use a metallic nail, or even if you have a like a strong fingernail, we can use that too. And we will try to scratch on the surface. And if there is no impression is left on the surface, the brick will be prepared sufficiently hard. That means surface won't get abrated easily. If we are scratching it with our nails and it has no impression left on the surface, that means there is no impression left on the surface, we can say that this surface is sufficiently hard and it's of high quality. So that's a test we do for hardness. These are all actually a simple test. And next is soundness. So we will take two bricks and we will strike that two bricks with each other. So the brick should not break, and also a clear ringing sound should be produced. That means this same sound that will be heard when we strike two metal pieces with each other. We'll have a small ringing sound, a small sound of a bell. A sound similar to that should be heard. That's not a soundness. That means it doesn't have any cavity inside it. So if we hear that kind of a special ringing or a sound of a bell, we can say that it has proper soundness or sufficient soundness, and there are no voids or cavities inside a brick. So this is the sixth test is about soundness, and the seventh test is about structure. So in order to assess the structure of the building of that brick, so we'll break a brick and the total surface will be examined. So we'll take a few samples from a given load of brick and we will break that into two, and we will see whether we will break that and we'll see the inner part of the brick, the broken surface. It should be homogeneous. That means the texture should be same, the color should be same, and it should not be have cavities inside that. No lumps or holes should be present. No large stones or small pieces of stone should not be inside that brick. So all these things will be checked while we break a brick into two pieces, and the internal structure will be analyzed by our naked eye. So this is the test to assess the structure of the brick. So before we move on to our next topic, stones, we'll just see what are the different tests which are available now to find the properties of brick. First test is the crushing strength, and we have seen that the crushing strength should not be less than 3.5 Newton per mm square. So we'll use crushing testing machine in order to test the crushing strength of a brick. And next is a water absorption test. We'll take a few samples of bricks and we will dry them. And then what next thing we will do is like we will immerse them in water for 24 hours, and then again we will take them and we will weigh them. And if the weight is more than 20%, we can say that it is of not good quality. Generally, the weight should be less than 20%. The increase in weight, that means the absorbed water should not be more than 20% of the weight of in dry brick. And for first class brick, it is specifically limited to 15%. And next is shape and size. As we think like for a group of bricks, from a group of bricks, we will take 20 bricks and we will arrange them in lengthwise manner, and we will measure the total length of these 20 bricks, and the total length should be between 3,680 and 3,920 mm. And similarly, to find out the shape along widthwise or the size or dimension along widthwise, we'll take 20 bricks from a group of bricks, and then we will arrange it in widthwise manner, and then we'll measure the total width of all these 20 bricks, and it should be between 1,740 mm and 1,880 mm. Similarly, we will arrange 20 bricks one above the above, and we will measure the total height of these 20 bricks, and it should be between 1,740 mm and 1,860 mm. So this is the test done for shape and size. Next is efflorescence. What we do is like we will again immerse it in water. We'll take a few numbers of bricks from a given sample, and then we will immerse them in water for 24 hours, and then we will take out and we will see whether it has any white patches on its surface. So if there are white patches present on the surface, we can assume that there are soluble salts inside the brick. So it will be harmful if we use that brick for construction of walls. What happens is like it will keep on absorb moisture from the atmosphere, and it will be always damp. So quantitatively, what we will do is like we just measure the total area for these patches using some device, or even small analysis might be required if an experienced person is looking into that. You can see if the white patches, the area of white patches is less than 10% of the total surface area. We can say that it has a slight amount of soluble salt is present, but it won't harm construction or strength much. It won't harm much that. So we can use that for construction. And if it is 10 to 15% is covered, we can say that it contains moderate amount of soluble salts. At times, these are also allowed for temporary construction. And then if the total amount of total area of this white patches is more than 10% of total area of a brick, we can see that it contains heavy amounts of soluble salts, and is not at all recommended for construction. And this is the test for efflorescence. Similarly, for hardness, we'll take a nail and we'll give a small scratch on the surface of the brick, and if it makes some impression, we can say that it doesn't have sufficient hardness. So those kind of bricks in long run will not be that durable, because as there are several natural forces happening, like wind, rain, sunlight, etc. It can might be abrasive to these bricks, and the quality of bricks will degrade very fast as time progress. And next is soundness. So soundness is actually a test then to find whether it has a sound property or it has any cavities inside it. So what we do is like we'll take two bricks and we'll strike them into two. So with that strike, the brick should not break into two parts, and also it should hear a clear ringing sound. A ringing sound means a kind of sound made by a bell. So it should be similar to that. So if that sound is heard, then we can say that this brick is of good quality. And the next property what we check is the structure of the brick. In order to assess the structure, what we do is like we'll break we'll break few bricks taken from a sample, and we will analyze how the inner surface or the broken surface of the brick is. So if that is of uniform color, if that is of uniform color and it has a proper texture, etc., then we can categorize it as good quality brick. But if it contains any lumps or any cavities, it is of bad quality. So these are the tests conducted in order to find the properties of a brick. So you can also expect a question from this part. What are the tests conducted in order to assess the qualities of a brick? So with this, I'm concluding this class, but please don't leave. I have few things to say to you. So we'll be on wait. Please don't leave the class. I have few things